As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately.
Tell us,
They said,
when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
Jesus answered,
Watch out that no one deceives you. Watch out that no one deceives you. Watch out that no one deceives you.
The invention of television has made it possible for us to communicate through a combination of sights and sounds. Modern means of communication have overcome the ancient barriers of time and distance,
in which is visible a whole new era of communication. In one generation, voice and vision have transcended space. Science, engineering, and organization have harnessed the ratio between...
Political warfare has been waged against America for much of this century. This war for the mind of the public has been facilitated by the emergence of mass media and the transformation of American education by behavioral psychologists. In the book 1984, George Orwell warned that people were in danger of losing their human qualities and freedom of mind without being aware of it while it was happening because of psychological, emotional, and intellectual manipulation. Mind control. Mind control. The most effective way to protect yourself from subconscious manipulation is by being aware of how it works. What the conscious mind believes, the subconscious acts on it. It works like programming a computer. Information is fed into a computer, and the computer acts on it. However, if the information fed into the computer is wrong, it still acts on it. If a person believes something that is not true, the memory banks of the subconscious mind do not correct the error, but act on it. The theory of cognitive dissonance holds that the mind automatically and involuntarily rejects information not in line with previously accepted thoughts and beliefs.
It's been estimated that an average American living in cities sees up to 4,000 ads a day. Ads are everywhere you look. Subways, bus stops, billboards, magazines. This toxic culture of mindless consumption exploits our innermost insecurities and desires to meet impossible standards. The corporate PR machine is enormously successful due to a model created by a man named Edward Bernays nearly a century ago. The nephew of Sigmund Freud, Bernays is considered the father of modern propaganda, or public relations. An Austrian aristocrat, Bernays' first contribution to the United States was helping President Woodrow Wilson sell the idea of World War I as a noble mission to spread democracy in Europe. In order to create the engineering of consent, Bernays argued, you must appeal to the unconscious mind. And on behalf of numerous corporate clients, Bernays helped perfect the tools of manipulation and conditioning that are used today.
Watching television often produces an altered state of consciousness. Though not consciously perceived, the television screen, while appearing static, actually flickers. Any repeating light or sound pattern can lead you into an altered state. A hypnotist uses patterned speech by varying the pacing and inflection of his voice to induce this state of mind in his subject. It is in this state of mind where one is the most receptive to mental programming. Whether or not the information takes hold in the mind depends on two factors: trust in the source of the information and repetition of the message. Trust in the source of the information induces acceptance of the message as true, even if it is not understood. Repetition of the message embeds it in the subconscious so that acceptance of its truth and accuracy becomes a conditioned response. Thus, this information will be accepted as true without thinking about it whenever it is presented again.
Symbols are used by Masonic lodges, witch covens, Satanists and alchemists to directly access parts of the brain which respond to strong shapes and colours. Just as the saying goes, a picture paints 1,000 words, so magical symbols can be used to convey a multi-layered message or command. The use of symbols to convey the desire or will of the magician is generally referred to as sigil magic.
CBS 11 News at 10 starts right now.
Live from Fort Worth, Dallas, and all of North Texas, with coverage you can count on. This is CBS 11 News at 10.
CBS 11 News at 10 starts right now.
Texas, with coverage you can count on. CBS 11 News at 10.
Starting right now on ABC's This Week.
It's Friday, and that means it's not top 10 time.
That's why you can't. That's why you can't. That's why you can't.
Here again, this shape, this arch with this 90-degree. I know this shot is a little blurry right here because it's just sort of a transition screen. And again, these are just, and understand, these are highly technical. Look at how detailed all of this is just for a fraction of a second of time, which means this is being targeted towards your subconscious mind on purpose, because these folks that are making these things know that your conscious mind does not perceive these things at this frame rate. You cannot even pick up on it consciously, which is the whole point. So I'll continue to go slowly forward. We'll notice certain shapes again. This interlocking pattern will be visible over and over and over again to you in different mnemonic circles, sequences, on different channels, on TV, and different programs that you're being programmed with. And so here we go. Here's another spinning mnemonic that comes right out of the center of that one. And everything spins in here. I'm going to kind of just go through this now until we come to some more parts. And again, there's the count up. So as this thing starts off, it's a count up. So watch, it shows you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a count up, okay? And then the next process is a count down. And what they do, and all of this is well documented, and if you research mind control and hypnosis and hypnotic techniques, it's well documented. If you want to put somebody in a very, very deep trance, one way to do it is to bring them up and down, in and out of hypnotic states.
Today, tuning into the news is like looking directly into the face of terror.
A chilling new look tonight at the face of terror. Video of a suicide bomber smiling for the camera as he gets ready for his deadly mission in Afghanistan.
This is like a jihadist 24. It's got that tension in it that you can't really turn yourself away.
And you can't really turn yourself away because you're biologically programmed to pay attention to any potential threat.
14 May 2015. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the self-proclaimed caliph of ISIS, the so-called Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, calls for all Muslims to migrate to his caliphate or take up arms in their own country.
The terror alert raised to the highest level after bombings at the Brussels International Airport and a subway station in the heart of the capital.
We heard two very loud explosions.
If anybody thought this wasn't their problem, they ought to recognize that it is all of our problem.
130 people of 27 nationalities were slaughtered in Paris.
First major attack on French soil since World War II. And around the same time, we had the attacks in Lebanon. We had the first downing of an airplane since 9/11. This all happened in a matter of weeks.
San Bernardino, California, where a husband and wife team had thousands of bullets and a stockpile of pipe bombs.
We've got investigations in all 50 states in America.
The horror will not end until our Muslim community wakes up.
ISIS, described by President Obama as solely a regional threat just over a year ago, is now global, active in 8 countries and counting.
Everything is fear, whether it was after 9/11 or the threat of Iraq or now the financial crisis and now it's the debt increase. Fear, fear, fear.
The coming delusion. There's something coming upon the whole world that will deceive everyone except for a remnant of people. Except for a remnant, a small remnant of people. Beware, you lukewarm Christians. Just want to throw that out to you real quick. Time of testing. Jesus talked about a time of testing in Luke 8:13. He said, the seeds that fell on the rocky soil represents those who hear the message and receive it with joy, but since they don't have deep roots, they believe for a little while. Then they fall away when they face temptation. Amen. There's a terrible time of temptation coming upon the world that is going to test everyone, to try them to see who will stand with God and who will not. But for the faithful believers, God promises to protect us from being deceived by this unbearable temptation. Here's what he says in Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the whole world to try them that dwell upon the earth. A quick note here. Many people, many people straddle the fence of faith the lukewarm Christians who are playing religious games, who have not committed to God completely. There's a big trouble on that. Lukewarm Christians, we call them. The Bible calls them that too. God is warning you guys. He's warning, he's warning, he's warning you. Okay? Revelation 3:16, God, Christ, Jesus is saying, Yeshua, the Son of God, then because thou art lukewarm, neither hot or cold, I will spew you out of my mouth. Wow. Where is God going to vomit them out at? This word spew in the Greek means literally to throw up, vomit. That's because it's disgusting to him. He's going to vomit them out into this time of temptation. Amen? Because they're lukewarm. The coming delusion. The whole world will be deceived except for the very elect of God. It says here, Jesus says, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before.
We're talking about satanic ritual abuse and trauma-based mind control. And this is a horrific study. It frightened me to my core to even research the subject. And when I came forth with Anna Nicole, Brittany, and mind control, it frightened me so much that I just ran. I took off.
Studies into subliminal influence have shown a correlation between heightened suggestibility and the manipulation of this response.
Mind control? 57 channels of it.
How long have you been trying to overcome a personal obstacle, such as smoking, losing weight, or making money? Every day, we're bombarded with ways to supposedly fix those problems, but few of them actually work, because the source of those problems lies deep within our own mind, the subconscious mind, to be exact. Joining me today is Tony Dosanjh, the co-founder of MindMaster. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Kristen. You're absolutely right. Our subconscious mind holds the key to our health, our wealth, and our happiness. And I'm here to talk about how to access that power in order to change any area of your life. Now, I know for a fact a number of our viewers have spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on personal development courses. You may have tried to stop smoking, lose weight. It works for a while, but then what happens is most of us, we end up doing a U-turn and going right back to where we started.
Why is that? Why do we have so much trouble achieving our goals and just sticking with it?
Well, the truth is your subconscious mind can literally sabotage your life. Look, if you're struggling with stress, addictions, weight loss, insomnia, your subconscious mind can often play a big role in all these issues. If you're a smoker, for example, how would you like to have a 5 times higher success rate of being able to quit smoking? 5 times higher. That's huge. And there's concrete scientific studies that back up that statement.
5 times higher success rate sounds pretty good. So tell us about your program, which, by the way, I have used and I absolutely love.
Thank you. MindMaster is a easy to use but extremely powerful software program that delivers messages and images to your subconscious mind. And these are personalized messages and images. And it does this in a matter of seconds. Now, this type of technology is actually so powerful that the US, the Canadian, the Australian, and the British governments have all banned television advertisers from using it. And there's study after study from major universities, such as New York University, that shows how powerful this type of technology really is.
But doesn't that mean it's unsafe?
Absolutely not. The reason it was banned is because the governments didn't want these advertisers using it to influence your behavior without you knowing, and that's exactly what they were doing. By the way, MindMaster is used by medical doctors, personal development coaches, so I assure you it's safe. With MindMaster, you're selecting the messages and you're selecting the images that you want delivered to your subconscious mind in order to change your life.
What can you tell me about how this program works? What is it about the subconscious mind that's so powerful?
With MindMaster, you're delivering messages and images directly to your subconscious mind. You're bypassing your skeptical conscious mind, and that's the key. Now, that's why many people are calling MindMaster one of the most powerful personal development programs that they've ever used.
Now, I also mentioned too that a fellow that has been in touch with me for an awful long time, his brother was in the CIA, or is in the CIA. He will never talk about the CIA to him. He'll never give anything away whatsoever, except one bit of advice. He said, never watch the television. Never watch the television. It's the greatest scientific indoctrination tool ever devised. Haven't you figured that out? It's changed the whole culture of nations, not just one nation. Why do you think it was mandatory that everybody in Britain have access to televisions by the government? Why do you think China is under the same program to get everyone with a TV right now? Because they love to have you entertained. Do you really think that? And India is on the same route as well right now too. Most of your ideas and your opinions and how you emulate, because you emulate things, you mimic what you see. As Charles Galton, Darwin and others have said in the past. It becomes you, you become it. And that's what's happened. It's been very, very, very successful. Never watch the television. You can't watch a movie unless you do it critically. If you watch it critically, not there to enjoy it. Remember what they say, it's your emotions that get you on. And it's interwoven, all these emotional themes all through movies. You're played like a harp. And they embed ideas into you, along with the movies, and predictive programming too, so you'll accept that which is still to come. And you'll behave the same way as the characters in the movie when it comes. Oh well, what can you do? I'll just watch much music or television. Yeah.
He always wears really cool outfits. It's always is always signing, and that's why we were doing this, so we could be like Hannah Montana.
A document put out 20 years ago by Dr. John Coleman in the book, The Story of the Committee of 300, number 6, to encourage and eventually legalize the use of drugs and make pornography an art form. My question is, does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? If you're going to make pornography an art form, and then make it an art form to whom? Your little babies, my little babies? How does that work?
It was like a nightmare. I was down in Galveston 2 weeks ago on a vacation, and the last day I was there, a convention of cheerleaders came, but it was little kids at a competition, and there were like 10-year-olds dressed like prostitutes everywhere. And they were being rude to my daughters because they thought they were there for the competition. And I mean, it was freaking me out. In fact, we even came home a day early. I mean, people are training their daughters to be whores.
This is dangerous. This is a dangerous tool in our house.
24 million people in Britain play computer games, but how many become addicted?
I would never inflict this game on anyone. This game is just a disease.
We reveal the hidden devices in the games designed to keep us wanting more.
I think people don't necessarily understand how powerful some game mechanics can be.
Half of all Britain's homes now have at least one computer games console in them. The industry employs around 30,000 people in this country, and we are widely acknowledged to have some of the best games designers on the planet. World of Warcraft, the most popular online game ever, launches its latest edition at midnight tonight. And with Christmas pester power at its peak, Raphael Rowe has been investigating the controversial subject of computer game addiction.
I'm at a premiere of a major blockbuster opening in London. But the stars here are not Hollywood actors. They're virtual characters in a computer game.
I just can't believe how many people are here just to buy a game. It's now 11:10 at night, and most of these people, if not all of these people, have come here to buy a copy of StarCraft. This queue has gone back from Oxford Street right round the corner to the end of this road. In the past 5 years, computer gaming has exploded in popularity.
Oh, I love playing video games.
I play games every day. I've been waiting for this game for a very long time.
We spend more than $3 billion a year on gaming, more than we spend on film or music. And gaming has shed its nerdy image to become an essential part of youth culture. As a parent, I often wonder what effect it will have on my children. It's an immersive, interactive, cinematic experience, but is it too much for some people to handle?
Unlike any games before in history, these games play with you, one-on-one, in their world, not yours. A virtual world of 3D graphics and stereo sound, capable of inspiring an emotional, physical, and even psychological experience.
A video game is, I guess it's a joyride to insanity. It's a journey to, you know, our inner nightmares and fantasies.
In living rooms across the United States, the youth of America and the young at heart are playing games, video games. Home computers and television sets fed by game consoles have become the virtual playground for a new generation. They're full of action and adventure, battles between good and evil, quests and cyber shootouts, and all kinds of races and sports contests. For many, this is a world so much bigger in scope and richer in possibilities that there's no better place to play.
What did I get?
The game space becomes a virtual play space. It becomes an environment they can do the things that boys used to do in their imagination, sitting in their backyard in suburban America. They can take risks, they can take challenges, they can compete with each other. They can have larger-than-life blood and thunder adventure that really gets the blood pumping.
In Nottingham, Joe Staley has enjoyed computer games since he was a small child, but then he bought an Xbox.
I just seem to spend more and more time playing. It started with Grand Theft Auto 4, moved on to, I think it was Call of Duty 4, which was the new one at the time.
Call of Duty is the best-selling game in Britain. It allows players to fight battles against each other over the internet.
I wouldn't move from my bed because my controller would be on my side table. I'd turn it on, play, then realise it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It could be up to a full 12 hours or more, or overnight.
When did you first notice that you had a problem?
When I stopped going to lectures, ran out of money, and had friends ringing me up telling me that I was playing too much.
I realised that he was addicted before he did. He would eat, sleep and play games, and sort of generally being a social person just all went out the window, and gaming just became his occupation, I suppose you could say. Like, it's what he did.
Why? Why do you think you were addicted to this game, and what do you mean by addicted?
I couldn't physically pull myself away from the console. I could go 2 or 3 days without sleep just because I was playing a game, and that to me sounds like an addiction.
I see this. Why did I see this? Why did the Illuminati take over video games? This is my top 10 Illuminati video games. Although a fun game with superpowers, you can control electricity. What makes this game Illuminati is a storyline. This game shows a police state, a new world order, and there are Gwyn towers on rooftops. Gwyn towers are towers that use sound waves to control people's mind or torture them using microwave rays. If you play Infamous, you'll see why it's on the list. There are many Illuminati symbols in Wolfenstein for the Xbox 360. I've never played it, but in 2009 Wolfenstein you get recruited by the Golden Dawn. In Wolfenstein The New Order there is a police state much like Infamous and Half-Life 2. This game's about the government brainwashing a guy named Alex Mason with numbers to carry out assassinations. There are many Illuminati references such as an all-seeing eye Easter egg and a list of secret societies that pop up on the intro screen. This game is about the New World Order. You work for the agency and take down crime bosses, but the agency is actually the Illuminati.
Who do you think supplied Los Muertos? Who do you think turned a blind eye to the Vault's activities? Who do you think was Shy Jen's biggest supporter? Who do you think ran organized law enforcement and ran it into the ground? The people had to experience absolute anarchy before they would accept unconditional control. You are the portent of a new world order agent. Pacific City was only the beginning.
Game of camps to a police state, from Big Brother to secret government, Half-Life 2 has it all. A zombie game, or you would think. Instead of traditional zombies, there is a parasite that infects people and turns them into mindless puppets for the Lost Illuminatos. The Lost Illuminatos is the Illuminati, and this game came out long before conspiracies were popularized, so it wasn't for laughs or a parody. I'm sure the creators knew exactly what they were doing. This game is about a police state. The Illuminati is mentioned in the first game. There is an underground FEMA camp in Human Revolution. This game is very much part of the agenda to brainwash the masses into accepting NWO control.
As we teach you. And who are we? Who are we really? We are the invisible hand. We are the Illuminati. We come before and after. We are forever. And eventually, we will lead them into the day.
I haven't played this one yet, but there are three factions: the Illuminati, the Templars, and the Dragon. Is the Dragon the Reptilians, and do these three fight for power and control in real life? Is that what this game tells us? Although I doubt the existence of space reptilians, it's just a thought. The Assassin's Creed series couldn't be more blatant. First it promotes the Templars, then the symbolism of the Illuminati. It's everywhere. And then they blaspheme the Bible by making up a story that Adam and Eve weren't the first inhabitants of Earth, and the Apple of Eden is a powerful artifact used to, quote, cast out Adam and Eve. It turned staves into snakes, parted and closed the Red Sea. Eris used it to start the Trojan War, and with it a poor carpenter turned water into wine. This is what one of the gods said in the game. But do I need to say more? This is why it's number 2. Finally, number 1. GTA 5. GTA 5 couldn't be any more open about their agenda. They have a large amount of symbolism they call the Illuminati by name, and they promote the gay boule agenda over and over with the Trevor character.
The first television set was fired up in the 1920s, after basically being in development since the mid-1800s. Of course, movies were still being created and viewed since the 1890s using different means, but it wasn't until the late 1920s when live broadcast television programming began. The first American news broadcast was in 1930. Since then, we have been heavily brainwashed and dumbed down, and now there are more TVs than people in the average American household. The same goes for Canada, the United Kingdom, and many other countries. If we're not watching TV on our TV, then we're watching it on our phones, our tablets, our computers. We're constantly saturated in mainstream media content and subjected to numerous techniques for mental conditioning.
So this is something I feel like, if I was the president, and it's unlikely that that is ever going to happen.
You never know.
If I was the president...
It was unlikely that I was going to be president.
The moment I was inaugurated, my hand would just, it'd still be hot from touching the Bible.
My hand it'd still be hot from touching the Bible.
And I would immediately race to wherever they have the files about Area 51 and the UFOs, and I go through everything to find out what happened.
Right.
Did you do that?
That's why you will not be president. So that's the first thing that you would do.
So did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in and he did check and there was nothing.
Well, You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Your husband, President Clinton, on this show, he said, I asked him about UFOs and Area 51, and if he looked in, because if I was president, that's the first thing I do. I go right into those files and see what was going on.
Right.
And he said that he did do that.
Yes.
And that he didn't find anything.
Well, I'm gonna do it again. Hopefully make as much of that public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there.
What if there is something there?
Well, if there is something there, unless it's a threat to national security, I think we ought to share it with the public.
I think it was at the beginning of my second term. We had the anniversary of Roswell.
You waited that long?
I did.
Wow.
Well, I didn't. And then there's also Area 51. You remember there was a great sci-fi movie where there was an alien kept deep under the ground in Area 51? So it makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens. Well, now we have friendly
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there. We better think of how all the differences among people on Earth would seem small if we felt threatened by a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
You're right.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
The coming delusion. The whole world will be deceived except for the very elect of God. It says here, Jesus says, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Starts off reading, for there shall arise, Matthew 24. You got to love Matthew 24. Jesus says, for there shall arise false Christs, false prophets. They shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. If it were possible. Now, why won't it be possible to deceive the very elect? Here's one reason. Right there. Behold, I have told you. Behold, I have told you. Jesus has warned us. This is coming. We've got to know the Word of God, brothers and sisters. We've got to know and study and be prepared. Hallelujah. Okay. What other reasons prevent the very elect from being deceived? Revelation 3:10. Let's look at it again. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And I love the way the New Living Translation says it. I'm not a fan of that Bible. I'm a King James man. But here's how it says it. I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to the world. You see that? I will keep thee. That's one of the reasons why the very elect will not be deceived. God is going to protect them, keep them. God promises to keep and protect us from the temptation. Simple as that. Coming delusion. Okay, so what's the trial? What is this temptation that's coming upon the whole world to test everyone that dwells upon the earth? Let's find out. God is going to send a strong delusion upon the whole world to try those who dwell upon the earth. A strong delusion. Very, very, very strong, brothers and sisters. It's going to be strong. Why is he going to do this? We get the answer right here in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. So let's look at verse 10. Because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Because they received not the love of the truth, they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved, who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness, who believed not and had pleasure in unrighteousness. Verse 11, and for this cause God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. God's going to send the strong delusion that they should believe a lie.
Watch out that no one deceives you.